Welcome to the Friends of Pownal sponsored Meet the Candidate event. This year, rather than our in-person get-together at the Pownal Elementary School Library, we are hosting a Zoom meeting. We decided to focus only on candidates running for the Select Board because those are the only contested positions. 2020 saw an increased interest by Pownal citizens in the activities of our town governments. We have new candidates running for positions for the first time and also returning candidates who have served before. We know that serving as an elected official is often a thankless job. We appreciate your willingness to serve and know that it takes courage to publicly put yourself at the will of the voters. Whether you are elected or not on March 2nd, thank you. Not only has there been an increase in candidates, but this past year also saw a significant increase in the number of registered voters. The best protection for a democracy is well-informed and engaged citizens. This event is our contribution to the being informed part. We have scheduled this event nearly a month before the election since so many citizens are voting early. Present here today are 4 members of the Friends of Pownal. Ruth Botso will be monitoring the chat room. Hopefully there will be no chats happening or needed. David Fowle will read the questions to the candidate. Karen Galise is our timekeeper, and myself, Rosemary Pelletier. Also on this Zoom event are 6 of the 7 candidates running for the 3-year and 1-year terms on the Select Board. We tried via email, postal mail, and a phone to reach candidate John Wallner, who is running for a 3-year position, but have not received any response to our messages. This event is only open to the people I just mentioned. Thanks to Mike Cutler for videotaping this event for CAT TV and for making it available to the public through their platforms. The Friends of Pownal will publicize the link and encourage the candidates to do the same. So a final welcome to those of you watching. Without you, there would be no reason to host this event. Following my comments, each candidate will have a few minutes to introduce themselves. We ask that they share why they are running for office, what skills they bring to the board, and what they hope to accomplish during their term of office. Following these brief introductions is a question and answer section where candidates will give a 1.5-minute response to 4 questions that pertain to ballot articles or town administration. Candidates received the questions ahead of time so they could prepare thoughtful responses. We will end the event with a brief closing statement by each candidate and then my closing remarks. For the introductions, candidates will be called as they appear on the ballot, beginning with candidates for the 3-year seat. For the remaining portion, we will change the order that the 3-year candidates speak and the 1-year candidates speak. So go ahead, let's begin. Running for a 3-year term, Angie Rawlings.
Hi, I'm Angie. Good afternoon. I've lived in Pownal for over 50 years. I went to Oak Hills Children's Center. I went to Pownal Elementary School, and I'm also a graduate of Mount Anthony Union High School, class of '84. I was married at the Pownal Center Church 32 years ago, September, and yes, we are still married, believe it or not. And we have raised our 2 grown children who are now grown, and one lives in Pownal and one lives in Bennington. I've worked 35 plus years in retail and customer service. You might remember me at the Village Market, 305 South, and recently I'm employed at Stewart's in Pownal. I've been a clerk, a manager. I'm currently on the Oak Hills Children's Center board. I think this is my 10th year. I'm serving a 1-year select board. I'm the chair. It's been a very challenging year, and I've learned a lot. I was previously on the Pownal Elementary School Board for 17 years. I've been involved in many groups and activities through the years: church, Little League, swim, wrestling, after-school program. I'm really committed to Pownal, and Pownal is a passion of my life. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mike Slattery.
Thank you, Rosemary, and many thanks to the Friends of Pownal for hosting this event. My name is Mike Slattery. My wife Jennifer and I have lived here in Pownal for almost 42 years. We've raised our sons here, both whom attended Pownal Elementary School, went on to Mount Anthony Junior High and high schools. After having coached, umpired, and refereed every youth sport that you can imagine in Pownal and working as a financial planner at the same time, I retired 2 years ago, as did my wife Jennifer, after 40 years of nursing and administrative positions at Berkshire Medical Center. There was never any doubt that Pownal, North Pownal to be exact, would be our home for a very long time. We loved it when we moved here in 1979. We love it even more today. We met so many great people and have made deep, lasting friendships on our Pownal journey. We especially love the outdoors and scenic beauty that Pownal is known for. I am running for a 3-year seat on the select board because I feel I can make a significant impact in the future of this great little town. I believe everyone has a civic duty and one cannot sit on the sidelines and just hope for change. Change comes from hard work, listening with an open mind, and patience. I believe I've demonstrated these qualities through the years during my long tenure on the Planning Commission and more recently the DRB. Putting Pownal first is my campaign slogan. This simply means that one's ideology must be left at home while governing. Doing what is right for Pownal should be the guiding principle. During my term, I'll continue to use the vision in our town plan to promote economic development, smart energy ideas, and to preserve our environment while safeguarding our rich history and legacy for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, now we'll move on to the one-year candidates. Ron Bassan.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong resident of town Pownal, which that doesn't really mean nothing. But I like the town, I never left. I've had half a dozen jobs, including working for myself and 30 years in a big company, the last one. But I sincerely think the town is, well, it's a beautiful place to live. And I'm against a lot of regulations and things, which I think people realize that. But I do believe everybody should have their say. I can listen, and I'm not I don't make snap decisions. And I was educated in this town, and Bennington. But anyway, I want to see us move along in a nice, smooth manner. I think it's been pretty good this past year. There hasn't been too much controversy and things like that, which is, that's what I was after. There was a lot of controversy here for a while. It was upsetting. But I'm here for the good of try to be for the good of the town. And I'm a logical person. I think things out, I'm not in a hurry to speak. I'd like to have an answer prepared when we are discussing something. And I think my experience in life has given me a lot of knowledge as far as understanding people. I guess that's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Jenny Dewar.
Thank you to the Friends of Pownal for hosting this forum via Zoom. My name is Jenny Dewar. We are so lucky to have this platform to stay engaged and communicate while keeping a safe distance from one another. That said, we will all be throwing out a lot of information your way in the allotted time. And another great feature of doing the forum this way is that viewers can rewind if they miss anything. My husband and I have lived in Pownal for 15 years, and my parents built their house 25 years ago. I held both of my 2 young-to-die parents' hands as they passed in their Pownal home, and their ashes are here. When my dad died 4 years ago, we realized we were now here purely by choice and not held here by familial obligations. We found our lives enriched by the incredible community that was here all along. I could not be more grateful for the wonderful friends who live next door, down the road, around the bend, across Route 7. I have never been happier with my career since running my own business and managing another right here in Pownal. Another thing that happened is that I became more aware of the runnings of the town. When I sat on the board previously, I was a total layman woman. I went through a crash course on being an elected official while I was sitting in the seat. My two priorities at the time were to pass the town plan and to get more people involved in our town governance, or at least paying attention. The plan was passed, the website was expanded, and a newsletter was launched. I'm proud of those accomplishments. I made some mistakes along the way, as we all do. If elected this time, I promise the town that I will serve my entire term. I never stopped paying attention and being involved. As a result, I feel immensely more prepared as the processes and how to govern are no longer mysteries. It is time to move Pownal forward, to work together as a community. Pownal has the potential to be a flourishing town as the gateway to Vermont. We need to fill up the empty storefronts. Our existing businesses need support, especially during this ongoing pandemic. The work of the Rec Committee is great, but we need to reestablish the Economic Development Committee. We clearly need more trails and areas for parking for our ATV neighbors to get to safely and legally to ride. I've been saying that for years now. We are still in a woefully inadequate town office. We need to throw energy into focusing on the 3 village designations. We need to pass the bylaws. We need to find grants to help lower the property taxes that have grown exponentially over the past 3 years. We will not always agree on solutions. It is impossible for everyone to think the same way. It is one of the beautiful parts of being human. 5 people are elected to run the town, and their job is to listen to their constituents and be willing to find compromise. I promise to always listen. Those are my goals if elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce Held?
Hi there. Thank you, Rosemary. Pownal became my adopted hometown in 1968, and I've been involved with our community since then. In 1972, as a VISTA volunteer, which is part of the Peace Corps, I co-founded the Pownal Preschool Daycare Center, now known as the Oak Hill Children's Center. I was head teacher and director for many years, which earned me the recognition of being a pioneer in early childhood development at a Vermont concurrent House resolution. This stands for Volunteers in Service to America, but for me, it was the start of my volunteer in service to Pownal and its residents. I've been on the board of the Pownal Historical Society for over 25 years and treasurer for the past 5. Ken and I have worked many years with Pownal students, teaching them local history and helping the class write a book on a Pownal subject at the end of each year. The children developed pride for their town and also in themselves as they became historians and authors. Ken and I received the Outstanding Service to Education Award for our work. My career has been a combination of wonderful experiences and great fun. I've helped many startup companies meet their goals, helped establish companies to add their new programs, and I am an owner of my own sales and marketing consultant business. I've traveled extensively, thus giving me the opportunity to learn more about our world and its people. I believe all my life experiences working with all ages and all walks of life has given me the insight of what is needed in a situation and how to accomplish goals. One important thing I've learned is we each have our own talents, thus making us better for one position rather than another. Take the select board, for instance. The select board is our governing body. We citizens put our trust in them to work together to represent us. Over the years, in my opinion, some of the seats were filled by those who didn't bring the right talent to the board. It created an unhealthy atmosphere. It slowed down the governing of our town and created a divide that we're still trying to heal. Candidate talents needed.
30 seconds.
Someone who wants to represent Pownal in a positive way, who puts aside their egos and the feelings and treats everyone in respect and wants to be and knows how to be a team leader. One who understands it's easier to accomplish goals if we communicate with each other in a business-like, non-judgmental manner. Someone who wants to work with all citizens to hear them, their concerns, and their ideas.
You need
Pownal
to,
residents are not just people who pay taxes. There are people with dreams and goals. And for our town, let's work together to make them happen. Thank you.
thank you. And now Bob Jarvis.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary, and thanks to the Friends of Pownal for hosting this event. When I first got elected 3 years ago, I had a lot of preconceived notions about what it would be like to serve on the select board. And like all new board members, I learned a lot very quickly. Sometimes that learning was by trial and error, and other times by doing the hard work and research to solve problems and find solutions to issues facing our town. I am very proud of the work of this select board and of previous select boards, and the work that we've done during my tenure. It has been my honor to work alongside the other members. Most notably, in the past year, we moved the town hall project to a place where it is shovel ready. We have strengthened our accounting systems by bringing in professional services from Nemrick to fill the gaps common in small towns like ours. We have brought a stronger spirit of cooperation and mutual respect to the town office. We created 2 new positions who are serving our town very well, and we have secured tens of thousands of dollars in grant funding and resources, navigated a global pandemic, suffered through a fire at the racetrack, developed a vision for the development of our town green village designation, and most importantly, improved our outreach and communication with not only the public, but also state and county officials. Having strong relationships outside of our town are essential to being able to find and secure helpful resources for Pownal. I believe that is one area that we have had the most improvement, and that improvement has really come in the last year. The most important thing I've learned and that I have stressed throughout my tenure is that collaborative and cooperative work with fellow board members, other town staff and officials, and the public is key to efficient and smooth working of our town government. Learning how to slow down, finding places of agreement and cooperation, and treating others with respect even when we disagree, and keeping your mind open to alternative viewpoints is key to making the best decisions for the good of Pownal as a whole. Collaboration and cooperation does not mean consensus, and a consensus is not a requirement of unity or of progress. Engaging in respectful dialogue, keeping an open mind, and hearing diverse opinions results in better decision-making, much better decision-making than staunchly defending your anyone's personal positions. Anyone serving in this position will need to learn how to put self aside to better listen and serve others. The health of government is measured in how we handle our disagreement, not whether or not there are disagreements. There will always be disagreements.
30 seconds.
A steady, consistent, unwavering, non-emotional, and committed approach to serving the town is the best path forward, and that is the path that Pownal has found itself in the past year with our current board. This current board is the most productive and positive board I've seen in my tenure and in many years of living in Pownal. I think it will benefit Pownal to keep the momentum we have created into the next year.
Thank
And
you.
I made up for Joyce going over.
Oh. What?
I meant that the nicest possible way.
Okay. Thank you, all of you. And you really did well keeping to our time restrictions. The next phase is going to be the questions. You have the questions before you, and you also were given a list of who was going to be doing it in what order. So I'm going to have Dave read the first question, and then Mike Slattery, would you begin answering that first question?
The Select Board has submitted a ballot article to ratify and confirm the bond vote of 2019 and to reappropriate funds for the new town office project. The article proposes to apply $90,000 from undesignated surplus funds. What are your thoughts on the town office project, and do you support this appropriation of additional funds? If possible, please provide details regarding the source of the $90,000. For example, were these funds previously designated for another use?
Thank you, David. First, let me start by stating the obvious. We need a new town office, and I completely support that premise. The problem we'll have with the current plan when we go to the polls is regaining the trust of the voters. $90,000 is a lot of money. It always was, it always will be. And it'll be uppermost in people's minds with the rising taxes during downturns in the economy due to this pandemic. They will question the cost of the delays, and they will be leery of continued rising costs. Do we just keep going to undesignated funds if we're lucky enough to have them? I do not support the use of the undesignated funds for this venture, but I would support a bond that includes the $90,000 needed for the town hall project, bringing the total to $690,000. The present value of the $90,000 in our pocket, the pockets of the people of Pownal, the taxpayers, versus spreading that out in future value over a 20-year period at very, very low interest rates, estimated, I believe, to be 2.5%, could be even lower by the time of issue. It would provide the town a lot of leverage over that period. Perhaps the $90,000 could be returned to the taxpayers in some way, shape, or form in reduced taxes during those critical times. We don't know what lies ahead. We need to be very careful. In my mind, there are many potentially better uses for the $90,000 than using it.
Sorry, Mike, I muted you.
Hey, story of my life, Rosemary.
And that was because I had muted myself, so you didn't hear my message that you had your time. I'm sorry.
I think I was talking about the $90,000 being in our pockets, having a greater present value to the taxpayer of Pownal.
I'm a neophyte at this, so we'll move on.
And I stand by that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Angie, you're next.
Oh, just tell you.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I 100% support a new town office. Our employees need a safe place to work. The town people already voted to have this town office. The town also needs a meeting place and offices for all the appointed and elected positions. We're in a desperate need for a media room. Obviously, everything on Zoom lately, and I think that's going to last for quite a while. I think it will increase in productivity and cut down on office tension. I support the additional funds because it was mostly caused by the rising cost of the materials and labor from COVID. I believe that the $90,000 is better used this way, only because if we ask for it in the bond, it's going to cost another $45,000 in interest. So we're saving the townspeople $45,000. Yes, designated funds, and it's less than, I think it's less than 0.25% on the tax roll. So I'm 100% in support of this. For example, being on the school board, every year there's extra funds that they call the designated.
Okay, time. Wrap up.
Excuse me?
I said your time's up.
Oh, thank you.
I know, it doesn't seem like a lot of time. Okay, the one-year candidates now, Jenny Dewar.
Thank you. We learned at the informational town hall meeting on Wednesday that the $90,000 is from the undesignated fund. When there is a surplus from the prior year's budget, it goes into this fund. That fund is generally earmarked to go towards the following year's taxes as a rollover, lowering taxes, or credited back to the property owners as an actual credit. At least that is my understanding from the board's presentation. If our taxes were not already going up this year, I might be more vocally supportive. However, my plan is simply to follow the lead of the voters. My reservations about the process of getting to where we are today and why there has been so much confusion around the project. My biggest concern is that the board had their first two hearings and still don't have a concrete plan on how this will be taxed. The entire crux of the proposal in 2019 was to share the cost evenly amongst each parcel the way the sewer bond was done. Now there is discussion about prorating our yearly payments based on the assessment of our properties so that the people with multiple properties are
15
not
seconds.
unfairly taxed. If that is the way it goes, I will vote no. We need a new town office. However, my thoughts should not influence other citizens one way or the other. I will do whatever the citizens want. Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce?
Well, I strongly believe in what I've been stating for almost 4 years. The new town hall will give Pownal an energy efficient, spacious, healthy environment for Pownal to conduct business. It will also be an inspiring example how a Vermont town protected and respected its history by having an 1812 schoolhouse become a community meeting room with historical society below. The new town hall in the Green in the Historic District, designated for Pownal's 250th anniversary by the Pownal Historical Society, is so fitting. As for the undesignated funds, I think the meeting Wednesday night explained it clearly. And undesignated funds are like what you and I might call our rainy day funds. By using the $90,000 from the undesignated funds, the $90,000 won't be included in the bond, thus won't incur interest or increase our taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jarvis?
Thank you. So I do strongly support this project, obviously. At this point, we have construction permits. I'm really proud of the work this board has done and our new positions have done to move this project along and make it shovel ready. We suffered through a pandemic. We've got ourselves into a position now where as soon as this passes, we can get started on construction. I really want this to go through. This is the least risk path going forward and the least cost to the voters. We need to get this town hall. We need to get it as quickly as we can. It is part of the vision for the town green, the town hall, the Pownal-owned church, the park, and the town green all play an important part in that vision. And this is an integral part of the town village center and will enhance opportunities for grants and economic development. As far as the taxation method, I do want to address that a little bit. I know I'm running low here. The board has not decided how to do it, but we do want to solicit input from the town as to what methods the town would like to see. And for that, we need to have the discussion. We need to have it in open. I'm always been against regressive taxes, where we tax some of our more than others. So that's why we have to have the discussion. And I just look forward to the discussion and coming up with a mutually acceptable method of taxation for the 90,000.
Okay, thank you. And Ron Bazan? Ron, we need to unmute you.
All right, I got it.
Okay, there you go.
Got it. I'm in support of the town hall. I think that the price isn't that bad. We surely need it for the community. It's something that, well, it's desperately needed. We got to have offices where people got a little privacy. They got a door. Somebody comes in to argue something or grieve a tax or something. It shouldn't be public to everyone. That's why we do actually need this. Plus, this other building is obsolete. The new building, I think, will be fine. It looks good. And I'm for that. And also, I am talking on that taxation thing. I want to say a couple of words on that. I think that it should be taxed just like everything else. If we build a new firehouse or something, it would be taxed on the property values, period. How much you pay in taxes, not how many parcels you have. There's a lot of very tiny parcels that people will be penalized for. But that's just my opinion. But we got to go forward. I urge the people to vote for the town hall. And as far as the $90,000 goes, every year we set aside $50,000 in a contingency fund, and we budget.
8 seconds.
when we budget, we always budget a little more than what we may need, or at least enough. So and there's more money than that 90,000 in that contingency fund. And that'll save us a
Okay,
tremendous
Rob.
amount on interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dave, do you want to present the second question?
Please briefly describe your vision of economic development in Pownal. Specifically, do you support the ballot article that states, shall the town authorize cannabis retailers and integrated licenses in the town pursuant to 7 VSA 863, and why or why not?
Okay, and Angie, we will begin with you on this one.
I would love to see more economic development in Pownal, retail, restaurants, ice cream parlors, and yes, even a cannabis shop, if that's what the Pownal voters would like. I think it would bring in a tremendous amount of tax revenue for the town. I also would love to see the Pownal previous racetrack revived. That would be beneficial for the town. I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Slattery?
Thank you, Rose. My vision of economic development in Pownal is mirrored in the town plan, which, as many of you know, I was instrumental in crafting. I urge y'all to read it or reread it. Bringing a large commercial venture to Pownal would be nice, but not always the most efficient way to reduce our taxes. Investment in our mixed-use zones and village-designated areas offer the most realistic commercial, retail, and residential growth opportunities. Regarding cannabis, I am definitely in favor of allowing cannabis operations here in Pownal. It's time to regulate it and tax it and stop seeing the dollars go to different states and different towns. I believe a lot of tax revenue could be generated by the passage of that article. Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce Held?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I do support the ballot article, plain and simple. If we don't authorize it, we'll be sending revenue to other towns. As for my vision of economic development, I think we need to make Pownal presentable to attract economic development. Right now, we don't project a good image. Our Route 7 corridor does not encourage people to stop and explore our town. We need to clean up man-made cancerous spots. We need to reach out to Vermont Trans and landowners to open up the views and of the valley and the rest areas so tourists will want to stop in Pownal once again. We need to start talking to each other, not about each other. So social media isn't full of name-calling, accusations, and innuendos, and the local newspaper isn't publishing less than flattering articles and letters about the town we all love. The recent positive response Pownal received from residents and other towns with the community tree and the ice skating rink shows us people are watching us and rooting for us. We need to continue to showcase our positives and work together on eliminating the negative. Then we can start inviting small cottage industries, restaurants, services to our community to be a partner and join the gateway to Vermont. Remember the saying, if you build it, they'll come. Let's build it together. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bob Jarvis?
Thank you. Economic development in Pownal, and that actually is what got me involved in politics, involved in our town plan. And I scrutinized the town plan back then as a citizen, and then finally ran on economic development to get elected to this board 3 years ago. And perhaps I don't see eye to eye with some people, but I think I'm willing to listen and move forward with whatever the voters want. So as far as the cannabis is concerned, I think there are definitely pros and cons. It's not a slam dunk issue, and because of that, on the board, I voted to put it before the voters, and let's see what Pownal thinks. But I don't view economic development as a competition, or even a choice between large businesses and small businesses. It all operates together. Pownal's best days have been when we've had large businesses in Pownal to raise our baseline standard of living. And that sort of thing actually helps your small businesses, your farms, and those people who remember back in the 60s and 70s, we had a lot more farms, we had a lot more open roads, and we had a lot more small businesses, viable small businesses, and they were all dependent on each other. I think we need to remember that. And we need to remember that as citizens too. We are dependent on each other.
Thank you. Ron Bazan?
I'm all for the legalizing the cannabis issue there, because not only does that bring in tax revenue, but also we may grow that here, we may process it here, it may create a few jobs, and all we're doing is we're saving some of that money from going into Massachusetts or New York. So I'm all for that. As far as economic development, I'm all for some economic development. I'm not so sure that a lot of regulations or anything is going to make it happen, but I am for encouraging anything, whether it be a small businesses or a larger business. And whatever we got to do to promote that, I think we should work at it. We ought to listen to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jenny Dewar?
Okay, I will actually attempt to influence this vote. I completely support this article, and I thank the select board for putting it on the ballot. Massachusetts has brought in over $1 billion due to opening up the state to the legal growing and sale of cannabis. Why are Vermonters going to Williamstown to make their purchases, thus helping those citizens plump up their tax coffers? Imagine how it could lower our property taxes if we had a cannabis distributor pouring tax monies into our budget. I wish I had the funds to start a business myself. As for safety, our citizens and guests who imbibe would be assured that their cannabis purchases are untainted. I am neither encouraging nor discouraging the use of such products. That is a personal legal decision, as long as you're of age. However, I do hope this happens and someone invests in such a business the moment they can. That's what I prepared. I just want to say that I support any business that comes in, and the town needs to support existing businesses and desired businesses and hopeful businesses. People are coming to Pownal, so we just need to be there for them, but you can't determine what kind of businesses come in. That's up to the business owners. So we just need to support whatever comes, and we need to find the grants for those village designations with the Economic Development Committee. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Dave, question number 3.
Okay, Select Board has submitted a ballot article that would change some elected positions to Select Board appointments. Under this article, the town clerk, the treasurer, and the delinquent tax collector would all become appointed positions. The town clerk and the delinquent tax collector would be paid a salary. What are your views on this proposed change to town government structure, and what impact might this have on the town budget?
Okay, and we'll start with you, Angie.
Okay, thank you. I will go with whatever the town votes on. My personal opinion is, though, I think it would be a good idea, because the people that are in those positions, they would have one boss. They would be using the NEMRIC system, and all their fees, bills, and monies would all be accounted for and easier to track and audit, which will protect that person from being falsely accused of fraud or wrongdoing. I would like to say that in 2019, external audit and the Bondeo audit found no fraud or wrongdoing. So I think it's a good, safe bet for those people. We've also discussed it with those 2 positions, and they are open to it, but it's up to the townspeople who vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Slattery?
Thanks, Rose. I am in favor of appointed versus elected positions for our town support staff. I was when this was first proposed 3 years ago, and remain that way today. It's time to streamline our accounting policies and have accountability. I believe the appointment should be done by an experienced town administrator with the approval of the select board. I don't object to the individuals currently serving as elected officials. I'm quite satisfied with their work. My concern is what's next. If they don't run in the future, they're defeated at the polls. Could they be replaced by winners of popularity contests who might not have the talent or expertise to perform? We would have no recourse as voters at that stage until the following election. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jarvis.
All right, thank you. So on this, so the first thing I want to do is clarify the ballot articles. Those are separate ballot articles. The article of whether or not one of these positions becomes elected or appointed is a separate article from whether or not it's salaried or fee-based. So the compensation, those two things are separate. So you can say, for example, I want the town clerk to remain elected, but I wanted to move to a salary-based fee structure or compensation structure. I'm going to support what the town votes on this, of course, and that's why we're putting it out for a ballot article. I agree with a lot of the things that Mr. Slattery said. There are definite advantages, but there are also disadvantages, and I think we need to keep that in mind on all of these issues. There are pros and cons, and we need to be able to hear and evaluate those pros and cons in order to arrive at a better decision. I know it's a little bit of I guess I'll be 100% clear on the town clerk. I think on the town clerk, I would like to see that position remain as an elected position. But for the rest of them, let's see how the voters what the voters choose.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, where am I? Jenny Dewar.
Sorry, I thought Ron was next.
I'm sorry, you're correct. Ron is next.
Hey, Ron, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, well, all right, it's my turn. Okay, well, I'll say I'm happy with the way it is right now as far as elected people, because the whole town has a say in who is their town clerk and who is their treasurer. I don't agree on the delinquent tax collector, because I feel that should be elected too, because that there is an incentive position. The more you collect, the more money you make. You get your 8%, whatever you collect. So I don't believe in setting just a salary for that job. As far as the treasurer's job and the town clerk's job, that's all set out. It's very clear what they make, and that's fine. I think they could be on our payroll as paid employees. But the reason I believe they should be elected is because 3 people get changed lots of times on the select board in a given year. If they don't like this person, well, they've had it. So, and I don't believe that should be where the town may really support this person. This town clerk and the treasurer, they find no fault with them, I think they should vote for them. They don't have any trouble getting elected. But I think that they should be under the umbrella of the town as far as pay and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Jenny.
Yeah, I see the pros and cons to this. And to be honest, I have not yet decided how I will vote. I am still listening to the board's explanations and the people who could be affected. I'm also listening to the other constituents. I understand that accountability is a good thing, and it's hard to require that of elected officials. The board addressed the clerk and treasurer positions on Thursday, but did not seem to discuss the delinquent tax collector or the listers, so I'm still very unclear on how this transition could work. They say a job description is not necessary as the duties remain exactly the same, but what about a resume, experience required, schooling required? They also said the board can appoint whomever they like and thus do not need to engage in a search. How do you keep a board objective with appointments? We saw the current board unceremoniously dump 2 incredible people who served honestly and passionately for over 17 years collectively on the Planning Commission due to personal feelings. Our town clerk, Julie, raised concerns that the board can potentially change by a majority as 3 of 5 positions are always on the ballot. She's totally correct. Making these positions appointed versus elected puts the control solely in the hand of 5 elected officials versus the entire town. So I don't honestly know what is best for the town, and my personal opinion does not matter anyway. I will work to move the town office into a healthier dynamic regardless of how that vote goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce?
Thank you. All 3 positions require expertise and special training. The town clerk our town clerk now, Julie, has gone through a lot of training and just to learn, about what a town clerk needs to do. And I'm concerned about the fact that we have someone who goes through all this training and then the vote comes up and somebody else new gets in, and the next thing you know, we're back into a training mode. And the tax collector and the treasurer, they need to stay up on legal and financial requirements. So having the possibility of people who fill these positions change every 3 years puts us into jeopardy of losing continuity and at a risk of getting someone that's unqualified in the position for the whole term. The impact on the town budget cannot be actually forecast, I don't think, because we don't know, but I don't think it'll have a large impact. The town won't be losing a percentage of the delinquent taxes, and they will be receiving fees that the town clerk collects. So there is a lot of things to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, want to do the final question, Dave?
Okay. In 2016, the voters of Pownal approved the hiring of a town administrator. A town administrator was hired, but that position is now vacant and has been so for over a year. Moving forward, would you support hiring a town administrator, and why or why not?
Okay, and the first person is Mike Slattery.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. Thank you, David. Yes, definitely. I would wholeheartedly support the hiring of a town administrator. I think you heard me refer to one in the answer to the last question. The select board needs to reduce its involvement in the day-to-day operations of this multi-million-dollar business. That's what it is. Well-meaning as they are, any select board is rarely qualified to run such an operation, especially considering that select board members are part-time. The administrator needs to be highly qualified and empowered by the select board to perform his or her duties. All appointed officials should report to the town administrator and should serve at his or her discretion. I believe the right person would restore morale, increase productivity, and provide a more efficient and professional form of government that, when done correctly, should ultimately provide a savings of taxpayer monies. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie?
Thank you. At this time, I don't think it's appropriate for the town. I think we need time to heal from the previous experience that we had with the administrator. Plus, I think we have a great team right now that are working great together and doing a lot of good work. I also believe a town administrator needs their own office. We don't have that right now. That was part of the problem before. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Bassan?
I think that was, first of all, as far as I knew and understood, that was only an advisory position when they voted on it before. And the select board, I think, is adequate enough. We used to run the town with 3 selectmen, now it's 5. Bennington has selectmen. Most all your towns in the state of Vermont have selectmen. They don't, they may have somebody to help them out, which we improved a lot here as far as I'm concerned when we got that liaison. That person is very intelligent, very good at writing letters, researching, and things like that, and getting the information. The select board can only function with what information it gets. If it doesn't get any information, well, it can't be very effective. But if we get the good information, I'm sure that 5 people, doesn't matter who they are, 5 people, when they hash it around, they can come up with the proper decision for this town of 3,500. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny?
Okay, absolutely. The town voted in favor of a town administrator. Some on this board have said that the town administrator vote was simply an advisory one, yet they have referred frequently to the advisory vote that we continue to support the Historical Society with their vision of the new town hall as the basis for pursuing that route. I don't disagree with that, but just, they're both advisory. If the town does vote to transition to appointed positions versus elected, there simply must be a supervisor. You cannot have a town office full of hired employees without a full-time boss. The select board meets one evening a week or even every other week. In my opinion, it is inefficient and foolish to have all employees report directly to the board. It's just not practical. A town administrator should have a degree and experience in running a municipality. The town office project fumbles could have been avoided with a knowledgeable professional running the process from the beginning. We have missed out on a considerable number of grants in the past year and a half. I do appreciate that we have recently acquired a few small ones. I love the ice skating rink, it's fantastic, but we need to go after the big municipal ones. We need to support our businesses by sharing grant information and assistance to them as well, with a town administrator at the helm. Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce?
In 2016, there were a number of people who were confused about the ballot article and how it was written, and there was discussion about it. There was discussion on sharing a town administrator with another town. There were talks about salary being around $30,000. The ballot passed, and eventually the board hired a town administrator at $65,000. The select board in late 2019 exercised their right to terminate the town administrator. Does the town have a legal obligation to replace that town administrator? I don't think so. That's my opinion. A town administrator works under the direction and discretion of the select board. The select board currently has a system in place that fulfills their needs and is working well. They are not requesting a TA. So right now, I wouldn't be able to support hiring one, nor the expense. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jarvis?
Thank you, Rosemary. I do want to make some corrections on the question itself. There is no vacancy for a town administrator. The position was eliminated by the select board, and it was replaced with multiple other positions that I believe is working very well right now. So right now, I don't see any need to reestablish the position. What we have now is working very well. We have seen rapid progress on grants, moving the town hall forward, work on the village green, the parks and rec, and many other initiatives. All of this progress happened within only months of creating and filling these new roles. We definitely had a gap between the termination of the previous town administrator and filling this gap. But then now that we've filled it, we can see rapid progress on many fronts. I do strongly recommend that if and when we consider a town administrator again, and I'm open to the discussion, that instead of staking out strong positions for or against, let's listen to each other and let's learn from the past, and let's make sure that we need it and that we got the right structure around it to make sure that it's effective. One of the things I see difficult about it is when you transfer too much power from your elected body to an administrative post, you have removed the voter from the exercise from the execution of their government one more layer. And we need to be very careful of that. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the question and answer section. So we'll now move to final statements by the candidates. And for the first one, Mike Slattery.
Thank you, Rose. And I want to wish all the candidates here today the very best in the upcoming election. Good luck to you all. From my perspective, it's just a thrill to be part of this, and I'm excited to get involved. There is work to be done in Pownal, as in most towns, but it's hardly insurmountable. Let's start by listening to people, being patient, rolling up our sleeves, getting to work, and above all, remembering to put Pownal first. Thanks again to the Friends of Pownal for sponsoring this. Appreciate it.
Angie?
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say, after my last answer, there were some comments that were said, and I heard them, and I think that's very unprofessional. All right, my final statement is I'd like to thank everybody who has supported me. If I'm elected again, I would like to finish the town hall project. I'd like to see the economic growth of the town and hope to get access to our land in North Pownell and develop it. I would also like to bring back community togetherness with our annual picnic. There used to be an annual picnic and it hasn't happened for many years. I would like to bring that back. And the development of the town green. I would also like to be working with the Historical Society on the tree lighting and the festivals in the Pownal Community Center Church and any other project that comes along that would be beneficial to the town and to the residents. I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I want you to all have a nice day and let's keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jarvis?
Thank you. So as my closing statement, I think I'll read fast so that Rosemary doesn't cut me off. In a small town, we aren't just government officials and citizens. We are family, neighbors, and friends. In order for a small town like ours to work well, we must always remember that we are neighbors first. Where we may strongly disagree today on a given issue, we will find ourselves allies tomorrow when a different issue arises. We cannot afford personality politics, nor can we afford the growing culture and impulsive public shaming and blaming we often find ourselves in. Looking for who to blame and how to shame them instead of what to solve and move forward creates a toxic culture in town governments that prevents citizens from wanting to participate and also throws a cog in the works of even our daily functions. We have done so much work recently to improve this culture, and I believe keeping the consistency of the present board is the best path forward to preserve our good progress. And as I stated in our opening, but I believe it needs repeating. The health of our government should not be measured by the existence of disagreement, but in the handling of those disagreements. It is not always easy to show up for and have the hard conversations, but it is in the consistent showing up and putting self-interest aside and willingness to learn and adjust course that brings better results. We make better decisions together than we do separately, I think is the real point. And finally, I do want to use the opportunity to, even though I have some real respect for many of the people running for select board, I'm going to strongly support Ronnie and Angie for re-election. This board is working very well.
Thank you. I tried to hold off on interrupting.
I'm sorry. I guess I did.
Joyce Held.
My dear neighbors, thank you for letting me share my views with you today. And listening to you all, I've actually changed my words that I have put in here, but let me just muddle through here. Have you noticed a movement in Pownal? People are stepping up and getting involved. You can see it and you can feel it. It's called hope. Our town has gone through some dark times these past years, and it's wonderful to see that healing process begin. The select board has demonstrated their ability to work well together in a positive way for the best interests of Pownal, and I personally want to recognize and thank them. I stepped up to run when I thought only one member was running again, and I wanted to keep Pownal moving forward. All the candidates are talented, and I feel only three have the talents to, but I feel only three have the talent to continue to move us forward at this time. There are times to step up, and there are times to step down. And after listening to you all today, I find myself knowing in order to keep Pownal moving forward, it is time for me to step down and put my full support behind Ron, Bob, and Angie so they may continue their good work. And I hope you'll do the same. I'm no longer a candidate, but I'll always be Pownal's cheerleader. Thank you. Stay healthy and stay safe. God bless.
Thank you. And a bit of surprise there. Let's see. Jenny Dewar?
Yeah. We learned on Wednesday that the reason that we are voting again on the $600K bond for the new proposed town office was due to a warning error, rendering the last vote null and void. I appreciate Mr. Gardner's explanation in the banner yesterday, but why was it kept from us when they realized it? Mistakes are human. Covering them up is a whole other thing, leading to gossip and conjecture. The prior board held 68 executive sessions in 52 meetings. The current board has held 34 thus far in 32 meetings. Executive sessions are meant to be the exception, not the norm. From the Select Board Handbook, an executive session is considered an extreme measure and may only be done under statutorily prescribed circumstances. Open government is the way in Vermont. If elected, our job is to represent you, not treat you like children, not hide things we deem too complicated for the citizens to understand. My biggest goal is to move Pownal to a more transparent governance and keep the board compliant with our open meeting laws. I wish you all well. I have no ill feeling towards anyone. I appreciate everyone's service. Please feel free to reach out to me to share your thoughts and ask questions. And thank you very much to the Friends of Pownal for doing this for us.
Thank you. And Ron Bazan.
I want to thank the Friends of Pownal for hosting this. And I think most of us agree and that we got to go at things logically. We got to think about things, and I don't want to see any more of this 3-4 pages of innuendos and things like that. We got a question. That's fine. I love open government. And as far as the executive sessions, I've always spoke up and said, look, ain't gonna make a decision, we shouldn't go in. But if it is a personnel thing, sometimes you can't. You have to wait for procedures. So, and I think the town is moving forward in a positive, good way. Right now, I don't see a lot of animosity, and I don't read all the emails, because I'm not a great computer person, but I do read a lot of them. And they're not nowhere near as nasty as they were before. And I think that's a great movement forward. And I think as a town, we just got to get together, let the people decide what they want. I think we should have that town hall. I don't think there's been anything corruption done there or anything else. As far as that $90,000, I tried to explain it when I could.
15 seconds.
Thank you very much, and good luck to everybody running. See you later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all of you. And for, I think things went very smooth considering everything. Just as a closing remark, I want to remind people that there are 2 election-related Zoom meetings that are going to be happening. There's the town office ballot article on February 24th at 7 o'clock, and that's via Zoom. And then on the 28th is the town meeting, also via Zoom, and the links to both of those meetings are posted on the front page, on the home page of the town the town website. So please participate in those. We encourage that of all of the citizens. And once again, thank all of you for taking the time to do this. We appreciate it. You take care and have a good day.